we are discussing condition monitoring of rotating machines. Now, as I have told, we will discuss the subject very superficially because it is very mathematical in nature, which is not possible to cover in this short period. Now, what we have seen that it is a very normally previously what we had the protection devices. So these protection devices protect the machine. So whenever there is a fault, those device should operate. But condition monitoring is slightly different. It is monitoring the health of the machine, and it is trying to predict whether there is a possibility of fault or not, whether the fault is developing or not, so that the operation of the plant can be maintained more efficiently. Now, any rotating machine, we know that there will be losses which manifests itself as heat. And this heat is very important because uh, continuous heating and cooling affect the materials used for the machines, particularly the insulation. And insulation, the health of the machine, the health of the insulation is much more important. Insulation health monitoring that will be covered in the other part in much more details. Now, any machine main losses are the variable loss, which is the ohmic loss in the electric circuit, and there are eddy current and hysteresis loss in the magnetic circuit, which we can consider more or less constant if the supply voltage and frequency are constant. But if it is we have variable frequency, that this also will vary. Now, the performance of the insulation material that keep this circuit apart is highly dependent on the temperature and deteriorates rapidly at higher temperature. Material that can sustain higher temperature, what happens when we design for larger machines, it is always susceptible to higher temperatures. So we have to go for higher grade of insulation. But the material that can sustain these higher temperatures are becoming progressively more expensive, and their mechanical properties becomes worse than the insulation material which we have for lower temperature. So these were the standard chart for different grade of insulations which are available. Now, as we go for higher grade, the temperature it can withstand is higher, but these materials will have the mechanical property, that is tensile strength, ductility, and other things that will become worse for insulations with higher temperature grade. Now, this was an example what we discussed, that why it is important. That is, say we have a large turbine generator. Now the generator, the loss will be approximately of the order of 12 megawatt. If you take the percentage is very small, but as the machine is very large, this amount itself is this heat dissipation is itself is quite large. Now, if cooling system of this machine is very important, because if cooling system stops, the average temperature will increase, exceeds maximum permissible temperature of the insulation within a few seconds. So not only the main generator, but its insulation system that will also have smaller auxiliary motors. Those motors are also has to be monitored very uh, intimately, so that the whole system can operate. Because if there is a small fault in that insulation, that cooling system, that generator must be stopped. Now again, as we know, in any electrical machine, that heat distribution is not even. So there will be hot spot generated within certain at certain points. The temperature might be higher than the tolerable temperature, though the average temperature is less than the normal temperature limit of the insulation. So for the cooling system and its distribution is very vital for larger machines. In So now when we are monitoring the health of electrical machine, its failure mode and root cause are very important. Now material which will depend on the material of which it is made, the mechanical and electrical stresses those materials are subjected to, and the temperature will attain during operation. Now for electrical machines, these are the different parts. That is, there is the enclosure. The enclosure is the heat exchanger. Enclosure has different component. That is the enclosure, that is the frame, what we call. Then the heat exchanger, electrical connections through which it is connected to the external, that the electrical the bushings or the terminal box, and there are the bearings also. It is in part of the frame, the bearing enclosure. The materials which are used for enclosure is basically fabricated structural steel, copper or brass tube used for heat exchanger, copper or aluminum bus bar or cable used for electrical connections, cast epoxy resin, babbitt, then high tensile steel rolling elements or soft bearing alloy as bearing used for bearings. Now these different temperatures, different materials will have totally different properties, mechanical, electrical properties. So when we are studying the condition monitoring, so the knowledge of this properties of these materials are important. Then there is the stator body. Stator body means stator core. So core and so the core and the core clamp. Now the structure, it is again the electrical steel laminations, structural steel or non. This is electrical steel lamination for core body. There can be structural or non-magnetic low conductivity alloy for clamps and other parts also. Then we have the stator winding. Winding have the main conductors, conductor insulation, their end winding. End winding is also important because this is end winding means the connections on both the sides of the armature. When we connect, there will be some operand portion, that is the end winding. So these the materials used are hard drawn copper or copper wires. Insulation usually is mica, paper or glass, or film in glass, film impregnated with resin, glass fiber structural materials. So these also have different properties. Then we have the rotor. Rotor again have the conductor, insulation and end winding. And the end winding support also, because end winding, the main conductors which are housed in the slots are supported by the core iron, but the end winding both for stator and rotor, there is no support. So some mechanical supports should be provided for these portions. So for rotor winding also, the materials are hard drawn copper for the conductors. Then mica paper or glass or film impregnated with resin. These are for insulation. There's then impregnated glass fiber ropes. These are used for those binding and supporting. Then there is the rotor body, that is the rotor core. So there is a shaft, then the rotor core, then if there is a slip ring and brush assembly, then slip ring and brush gear. Structural steel, materials here are structural steel or forged electrical steel laminations or steel forging integral with shaft structural steel or non-magnetic low conductivity alloy steel, brass or copper, carbon or copper brush in brush and brush holder. So again, there are different materials, so they will have different properties, and they also behave differently with temperature rise. This is just a picture of the previous example what I was talking about. That is just to show that that was the steam turbine. Now this turbine is hydrogen cooled 2-pole turbine generator installed in a nuclear power stations. The generator exciter is on the left. So turbine is in the middle. Then they have the generator excitation, and the turbine generator is the center of the picture, and the low pressure turbine is to the right. So basically, one machine basically we have 3 machines on the same shaft. So a generator may consist of 2 or even 3 electrical machines on the same shaft. This is important when carrying out a failure mode or effects analysis. That is, failure of any of the machines, then we have to shut down the system. In considering the number of sub-assembly in the machine, because all these 3 machines are large machines, so they will have sub-assembly, some smaller motors providing that cooling and other systems. When the number of components affects the predicted failure rate of the so the number of sub-assemblies in the machine and the number of component affects the predicted failure rate of the machine. The deterioration of performance or failure is in service can occur due to damage of any of these components. So larger the system, your complication of this monitoring becomes more, because you have to monitor all the components. Any component will cause the failure of the system. Now this is again a chart given. Now this is what normally what type in machines, what type of cooling are used and other things, that is given in chart form. This is a stator winding cooling. Now it is, if it is a air cooled induction motor, it is stator winding cooling, indirect air cooling. If it is a air cooled turbine generator, it is again indirect air cooling. At a high, if it is a hydrogen cooled turbine generator, it is indirect hydrogen cooling. Air cooled hydro generator, it is indirect air cooling. Hydrogen and H2 cooling turbine generator, it is again H2O direct cooling. Now stator core cooling, again it can be, depending on the machine, it is induction air cooled induction motors, it is direct air cooled. Air cooled turbine generator is direct air cooled. Turbine generator, it is hydrogen direct. Air cooled hydrogen generator, air direct. And for this turbine generator, this is hydrogen direct. Now, actually, you can see that the winding cooling is indirect. That is obvious because winding is inside the slots. So, core will be in touch with the cooler directly, not the winding. So, rotor cooling, again, rotor cooling, all are direct. For air cooled machine, it is air direct. For hydrogen cooled machine, it is hydrogen direct. And for this stator winding cooling, this one was H2O and H2 cooled. Here the stator winding cooling was also direct, H2O direct. You know that for large turbine, we have that water is directly, these conductors are hollow, and water is directly circulated to take away the heat. Here the machine size can be reduced, but obviously that water should be very pure, because if it is a pure water, it is not conducting. But presence of any impurity will make the water conduct. So that water system, purifier system is included. There is another that system, water circulating system, water purifier system should be included in here. Now, normally MVA range, this shows the, this is not just an example. MVA range will be in this range. This is all megawatt, mega MVA ratings. Power output is in this range. These are the largest hydrogen for direct hydrogen pool for stator cooling, the hydrogen pool, and H2O pool for stator pool. Number of poles, normally the number of poles of these machines are, see, induction motor, we know induction motor are normally we have 2, 4, 6, not more than that, because if we want to make the induction motor more number of poles, that design becomes very cumbersome, and also this is not commercially effective. So in the higher pole range, it is the synchronous motors which are used. So induction motor mostly used is with 4 pole, that is 1500 RPM in this range. Then air cooled turbine generators. This is 2 pole. This is high speed machine. This is H2 hydrogen cooled turbine generator. This is also high speed machine. This is basically the Salient pole machine, air cooled hydro generator. So this is a Salient pole machine. You can see what is the number of poles. Number of poles are very high because the speed is very low. It depends on the speed of the water and the height of the waterfall. The number of poles can be very high. And this is again a turbine generator. So this is number of pole is 2. And accordingly, this revolution per minute is from the, this is for 60 hertz. For different system it is given. Now the core length. The core length of the machine is related to the rating and the number of poles. So the air-cooled induction machine, the core length is, for this range, for this rating, it will be this. Now for air-cooled turbine generator, and this is for hydro generator. You can see that hydro generator, the length is quite small compared to the turbine generator, that we know, because turbine generator, as it is number of poles are low, the speed is high, so we go for a longer length and shorter diameter. So in this case, what happens when the length of the length is high, then cooling is a problem, because cooling required very special cooling, because when we are the coolant is entered, it has to be circulated over a longer length. So, but On the other side, if the length is smaller, the cooling system is simpler. And rotor diameter, the same way, if the length say for as the length is high, the diameter is small. Here the length is small, so it has a large diameter. So it will be some this sort of a construction. Typical weight is the typical weight. Then the mechanical loading, rotor peripheral velocity. This will be, so here you can see the rotor peripheral velocity are quite large, and that's why we have to go for smaller diameter and larger length. Then there is the example of magnetic loading. These are more or less comparable. This is current rating. This is the voltage rating. This is the current rating, and this is the electrical loading. Electrical loading, you can see for again this turbine generator. These are quite large. Current density. Current density, you can see that for this one, the current density allowed is very large. That is because the stator cooling is very effective here. We have direct water cooling for the stator, so we can go for the higher current density, because current density, whatever we allow for the machine, that is related to the cooling. If the cooling is effective, ultimately what is important is the temperature rise. Now, one thing you need not just mug up this table. This is just for example. I am just showing it for an example. Then steam and gas turbine driven generators. These are the just a list of a few machines which normally are condition monitored. So it will be for large power stations or large process plants. So one, say first the steam and gas turbine driven generators. Now normal MVA range for this machine is 25 to 1500 MVA. Main structural features are these steam generators or gas turbines. They will have length, armature length quite large compared to the diameter. Normally they are horizontal mounted. They have rotational, high rotational speed, 1500 to 3600 revolution per minute. That is 1500 is for 4 pole 50 Hz, 3600 is for 2 pole 60 Hz system. Now, normally closed circuit air or gas cooling is used, either air or hydrogen cooled. Water cooled stator winding in case of very larger size. Fossil fuel or nuclear generation. These are used with either fossil fuel, steam turbines. So either fossil fuel, also in nuclear generation station also. Basically what we have is the steam turbine, because the heat of the nuclear reactor is used to generate the steam. Then root causes. What are the root causes of failure in the system? That electrical faults incur consequential damage. Electrical faults, that the normal electrical faults what happens in a generator will create damage. Then high speed balance problem, because the speed is high, so there can be balancing problem. It is a mechanical fault. So excitation faults exacerbate balance problem. Excitation, you know that for steam turbines, which are cylindrical rotor machine, excitation system failure is very important, and the machine should be shut down immediately, because In case of salient pole machine, due to its saliency, it can supply some amount of power without excitation also, but this cylindrical rotor machines cannot withstand excitation, fault in the excitation system. So stator and end winding bracing problem. Stator end winding, as I told, end winding portions, they do not have the support of the iron structure. So it requires some bracing because the winding is rotating as high winding is bracing is required. In rotor and bell integrity problem, in the rotor end also same problem is there. Gas cooling circuit sealing problem. Whenever it is a gas cooled machine, whether air or hydrogen cooled, the system should be totally sealed, because in case of hydrogen, we does not want a mixture of oxygen with hydrogen, which is combustible in nature. And in case of air also, we do not want normal air to enter, because that will have impurities in it, and dust and other moisture will be there. So air which is circulated is dry air, clean air. So the system should be sealed. Water cooling circuit sealing problem. Again, the water cooling circuit should be sealing should be perfect. There should not be any seepage. And high performance oil film bearings. Bearings, as these machines are high speed machine, bearing should be bearing oil film should be very high quality. Enclosure casing means difficult to inspect frequently, because these machines will be totally enclosed. So it is difficult to inspect the machines frequently. Then we have the water turbine driven generators. The normal size range is 10 to 800 MVA. Here, what happens? Diameter is very large, greater than the length, because slip ring motor. Salient pole motor. Constructional features. Other constructional feature is normally, but it can be vertical or horizontal mounted, depending on what type of turbines we are using and what type of the height of the waterfall. Then rotational speed is low, 80 to 300 revolution per minute is a normal. These machines are normally air cooled. For larger size, current rating is large, then we can have direct water cooling for the stator winding, used for hydroelectric generation. Their root cause of failures are electrical faults, as usual, electrical faults, then air cooling, and high stress leads to discharge erosion on high voltage winding. Rotor pole integrity problems, as again the rotor poles are, number of poles are high, and you know the construction, the poles are assembled on a spider, so that is a problem if there is a disjoint or anything. Then engine driven generator. These are normally for peak load hours. So size range is 10 kVA to 60 MVA. Here again, it is length is almost equal to the diameter. Normally horizontal mounted. Rotational speed is 1500 to 1800 revolution per minute. These are standby, used for peak loads, or can be used in island or in marine generations. That is one thing in ships nowadays. Normally, this salient pole, these machines are highly used. This all the machines they are using, that they are synchronous machines, because the fossil fuel is driving the engine. So it is acting as the prime mover. So then they will have the generation and then all the other components will have electrical motors. Direct mechanical drives are not used for different parts. So root causes of failure in this case are electrical faults incurred. Then the reciprocating engines give torsional and seismic vibration problems, because the prime mover here is a mechanical engine, so it has its own problem. Then environment can cause some problems. Then synchronous motor. Now synchronous motor is widely used in high power range, normally 1 to 30 megawatt. In here, length almost equal to diameter, normally horizontal mounted, wide range of possible rotational speed. Then root causes of failures are high speed compressor, give high speed balance problem. Now actually when it is a motor, depends on what load it is driving. So if it is driving a high speed compressor, it has compressors have its own problem, balance problem, so that will affect the system. Reciprocating compressors have torsional and seismic vibration problems, so that will affect the machine. Stator and winding bracing problems are there when it is a high speed machine. Now, permanent magnet synchronous machines, these are used in smaller range, also in the fractional kilowatt range, 0.5 to 500 kilowatt. Here again, length is quite larger than the diameter, because permanent magnet synchronous machine is basically similar to that cylindrical rotor machine construction. Normally these are horizontal mounted. Her rotational speed varies from 500 to 5000 revolution per minute. Variable speed drive application. Normally motors we will have variable speed drive. The causes of failure are electrical faults, and for high speed machines, high speed balance problem. Whenever the speed is high, there will be some mechanical problem in permanent magnet synchronous generators. Range is smaller, 5 kilowatt to 5 megawatt. Main constructional features: diameter is length, greater than length. ঠিক আছে, দাদাকে বলে দাও, দাদাকে ফোন করে বলো। এক মিনিট ওয়েট করো, হ্যাঁ। Sorry, now root cause of failure in this case is electrical fault incurred mainly. Because this is a lower speed device, so there will be little mechanical failures. Then we have induction generators. You know, these are used with wind power applications. Normal range of rating is 100 kVA to 10 MVA. Normally horizontal mounted, medium rotational speed. This is used with wind generation. The failure is mainly short air gap, because induction machines have very short air gap. So short air gap drives air gap stability problems, limiting permissible bearing where particular in high voltage, low speed machines. That is wind generators. If you have seen that pictures, that is that poles are quite high. So these machines are mounted on high pedestals, and this, so in that case, that as the air gap is very small, it is difficult to maintain it and to inspect it also. So stability problem is there. Slip ring and brush gear problems on doubly fed machines. Induction motor, widely used in the industry in low and medium power range. So the normal range is 0.1 kilowatt to 20 megawatt. Main constructional features: length approximately equal to diameter. It is horizontal mounted with the variable speed drives, wide range of speed. It operates over a wide range of speed. Now, main causes of failure are high starting current, limits thermal and fatigue life, because induction motor starting current, if it is direct online, it will be 6 to 7 times the 5 to 7 times roughly the full load current if it is frequently started. This frequent starting might cause fatigue to the machine parts. Then short air gap drives air gap stability problem, because in induction machine is very stable, but main problems arises because to maintain the small air gap, with time there it can develop eccentricity. So rotor cage integrity after many restart, that is, if it is a cage rotor motor, the problem becomes breakage. The end ring and the connection between rotor bar, that tends to break, and that is very difficult to, that has to be monitored and to be repaired. For slip ring motor, brush gear assembly, it is a moving contact, so that has to be monitored frequently. Then we have the DC generator, still in use for different applications, for different processes. So normal range is 20 kilowatt to 5 megawatt. So main constructional feature is length almost equal to diameter. They are horizontal mounted, medium rotational speed range, and declining. Their application are gradually reducing. Only have in very special cases. Now, root cause of failures are mainly commutator. DC machine commutation is a problem. Then brush gear faults. Whenever there is a moving contact, is required regular maintenance. Then carbon dust contamination problem. DC motor, we have the carbon brush, so carbon dust is created. There will be the brush gets eroded, so carbon dust is created. So that is itself creates problem in the atmosphere. So in certain atmosphere where the atmosphere, we cannot have DC machine because it will create explosive atmospheres. Then we have DC motors, still used in the range of 1 kilowatt to 2 megawatt. Length is almost equal to the diameter, or normally horizontal mounted. Rotational speed, medium range. Declining application to specialized variable speed drive. Even then, as you know, it is being replaced by induction motors. That's still used in larger rating, megawatt range. Root causes of failures are intermittent duty thermal problems, high shock loading problems, commutator faults, brush gear faults, carbon dust contamination, associated control gear problems. Besides this, still used in the industry are reluctance motor. Their main constructional features are length almost equal to diameter. They are normally horizontal mounted, medium rotational speed, increasing application to specialized variable speed drives. In reluctance motor, vibration is a problem. It is running based on the variable reluctance. So vibration, it might cause vibration. It is a problem. Stator winding damage can be there due to this. Then variable speed drive, as it is used with variable speed drives, so there can be associated problems with it. Then we have AC commutator motors. Now AC commutator motors almost obsolete in case of the power electronic variable speed drives applied to induction and DC motors. That is, AC commutator motors were previously used with traction drives in some of the countries, and they have the limitation that they are efficient at lower frequencies. So for traction drive, they had lower frequencies supply system. Now, actually, normally in our country we do not have AC commutator motors, but we have the DC motors for the traction drive. Now, even all these motors are being replaced by induction motors with power electronic controllers, and but still DC motors are still used. So large AC commutator motors are very rarely used. What is used a smaller fractional horsepower motors that are what is called the universal motors. Those are used for household appliances, and obviously those small motors do not require any sort of monitoring. So when we are going to monitor the system, we should know what sort of a machine is driving the load and what are the basic faults it can develop. So this what are the different parts of the machine, what are the materials used, because in all these knowledges are absolutely essential for developing the monitoring system. Then one thing is important, that the machine specification is very important for this, or because the machines, if are incorrectly specified, many faults occur because the machines are incorrectly specified for application to which they are being applied. For example, a machine may be underpowered or have an inadequate enclosure. But first of all, the power rating of the machine has to be selected. So unless it is selected properly, obviously it will develop faults. Then there is the inadequate enclosure problem. That is, when we choose the type of enclosure, we should consider all the things: the environment, the temperature, the moisture, everything has to be considered. Unless we choose the machine which is suitable for our country, suitable here might not be suitable when it is operating at in a desert area, even in the where the temperature can goes below freezing point. So they will because that cooling system will not be effective. So there should be some other problems there. So the specification of a machine must ensure that it is of an appropriate design for the use to which it is being put. It is a waste of time applying sophisticated monitoring technique to a machine that is unfit for its purpose. It is far better to remove the monitoring and change the machine for one that is more suitable to the application. By the same token, many operational problems could be avoided by using an over-designed machine. For example, in a hot environment, it may be better to use an overrated machine which has a substantial design margin than push an adequately designed machine to its limit. On the other hand, it is sometimes an operational fact of life, especially with an expensive machine, that it must continue to operate even though it suffers from shortcomings in the original specification. In such cases, effective monitoring can help to ease the burden placed upon the maintenance engineer. So this is a general discussion that comes from common sense, that obviously the machine should be properly designed. And as I told, the machine, say we are driving a pump, so the motor which is driving, that motor which is adequately designed for ambient temperature, say for this plain land, if it is placed in a high temperature environment, then obviously as the atmospheric temperature is higher, so the machine will be pushed to overheating. So it is better to, for driving the same pump, it is better to go for a slightly higher rating machine, higher rated machine. So when selecting the machine, the environment also has to be considered. I talked about the temperature, then other things is there, the moisture is there. So sometimes it happens that if the equipment is very costly, in that case, if it is found that the machine, the driving machine has some shortcomings, in that case, as a total system is costly, then we can go for monitoring so that it can be operated more efficiently. So whether to monitor or not, that depends on many things. First of all, depends on the rating, depends on the depends on the importance of the drive. So for even if it might happen that the rating of the machine is smaller, but it drives so important auxiliary system that if it fails, the motor fails, the total system will be shut down. So in that case, that small motors might require some monitoring. So whether to monitor or not, that has to be decided judiciously, because we have to ultimately calculate the cost. What is the cost? If the machine is so important that its developing a fault will cause a long period of shutdown, and it will cost the system, so in that case we will go for monitoring. So the specification of a machine must reflect the mechanical, electrical, and environmental condition in which the machine will work. So not the mechanical and electrical, the environment is also very important by selecting the machine. These matters will have a bearing on the mechanism by which the machine may fail in service. That is, the machine which is operating at a lower temperature, the same machine when operating at a higher temperature, the type of fault it will develop might not be same. The need for monitoring and the selection of the parameters to be monitored must be affected by these operational conditions. So if each and every system, the monitoring requirements are different. So machine specification and failure mode. Now, mechanically, machines can be exposed to, there can be mechanical and electrical failures. So, mechanically, what are the main failures? Mechanically, the machines can be exposed to period of intermittent running, frequent starting, and to uh, arduous duty cycles where the load varies frequently between no load and full load with occasional overloads. Now, these things you have when studying drives, you have seen the duty cycles, and this explains why duty cycle is specification is very important, because that intermittent running, frequent starting and braking, then a duty cycles which have a frequent speed change, frequent change of load from no load to full load. This affects the health of the machine. These affects because of the mechanical parts it will affect. Then there can be this can lead to insulation degradation, bearing wearing, because as if we have frequent starting, then there will be wear and tear in the bearings. Then vibration and slackening of windings, commutator and brush gear. That is frequent starting and stopping. During starting and stopping, it is transient, so there will be vibration, and these are also called slackening of windings. The windings, particularly the overhead portion, has to have supports. Now, when there is a frequent starting, it is subjected to vibration, and the winding becomes slack, and that will create trouble. And everything ultimately, what happens, any type of fault ultimately will affect the temperature, and temperature ultimately will affect the insulation. So insulation will degrade. Insulation also degrade with vibration. Similarly, a machine driving a pulsating load such as a compressor is going to experience heavy bearing wire, because pulsating load, the load is changing wire, so there will be heavy bearing wire here, vibration and slackening of winding, commutator or brush gear faults. Commutator and brush gear faults are always very common whenever there is commutator and brush gear, because that is a moving contact. Now, from electrical point of view, a machine, by virtue of its location in a supply system or its task in a manufacturing process, may be subjected to variety of transient at its supply terminals. Now, the first one is slow fluctuations in the supply voltage. Unbalance between the three phases that can cause operational problems. If the machine does not have the thermal capacity to deal with the overheating, that unbalance can lead to unbalanced voltage. You know that there will be unbalanced current. So the phase that will carrying the more larger current will have larger heating. So if the machine do not have overheating capacity, if there is no threshold between that operating temperature and the maximum allowable one, then it can cause problem. Then rapid transient in the supply system, overstressing the winding insulation because of non-uniformly distributed electric stress throughout the winding length. If the supply is connected to some other loads which will create rapid transients, then that will be problem. Then in fact, that slow fluctuation of supply voltage also create problem, because if the load is constant, we know that with voltage the current will change. So the change in current will cause, and change in voltage will cause change in losses, and that will cause change in temperature. Modern interrupters produce very rapid voltage surges that were known to break down Class B interturn insulation in the line end coils of motors. That is normally the coil insulations which are used in motor is Class B is very common interturn insulation. Now the interrupters, that is when the circuit breakers, modern circuit breakers operate, they cause very rapid voltage surge that may cause breakdown of this class B insulation. The most severe electrical transient a machine can receive, however, at the starting or switching of the supply. Now, these are the transient what we can have related to the supply system. But even then, the main transient which is the machine is subjected to is starting or re-switching in case of intermittent duty cycle. So that when selecting a motor, select the duty cycle of the load should be known properly. And the part of the duty of many machine in industrial process is to rapidly start and run for short period. This cause overheating. This cause overheating, slackening of winding system, movement of electrical connections, and overstretching, stressing of terminal boxes. So this starting, frequent starting is where if the machine is tired for frequent starting, you have to be careful by selecting the motor. So I will stop here. We will discuss the machine specification and failure modes in the next class. Now next class we will have on next Saturday, same time. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
অনেকক্ষণ বকে ফেলেছি এখন।